Everybody, welcome back to this week's Most Elite podcast. I know I'm a little late on the upload, and that's for a couple of reasons. I think a podcast ago I mentioned that I'm taking this vocational training thing. I'm trying to get some certifications. Just trying to do. I don't even know what it's called. It's not really self-improvement because the thing I'm getting the certs in I've done for years already. So that sort of cuts into my recording time a little bit. And the real second reason is because so much has happened in quick spurts of time. We had the Avengers beta, which I recorded tons of footage for, and I am going to talk about it because it releases next week. We had the DC Fandome Event, which it was really awesome, actually. I didn't think it would be that good. And just today and yesterday, to date this video, we had Gamescom opening day and Gamescom day 2. I think Gamescom 3 days or a week. I think it's a week. It's normally in Germany, but you know how that goes right now with the T-virus outside. So it's an online thing. Still pretty cool. A lot of cool information is coming out, and a lot of seen before but not really seen before stuff is there. And that's always a good thing. The more information, the better. It makes my job of this that much easier, because if they just feed me information to talk about, I'll always have topics to talk about, and hopefully you'll always be there to listen to me talk about the topics. So today, I'm not going to do the Avengers, even though I have the footage for it. I am going to cover the DC Fandome event to the best of my ability. I don't remember everything that was announced because so many announcements between these past few days. Some of it just slipped my memory. I'm going to talk about the standouts. I'm going to talk about the highlights. So I guess this is kind of one of those list episodes that everybody loves so much, but a centralized list, a focused list. And the list is around the DC Fandome event. So without further ado, let's talk about one of the big breakouts of the DC Fandome event for me, the Batman. That's right, Robert Pattinson's mysterious The Batman movie, directed by Matt Reeves, was announced years ago that they were going to do it, and it was a whole big huff because Ben Affleck wasn't going to be Batman in it. At the time, he was going through his personal struggles. It's well documented what he's going through. I don't want to air out Ben Affleck's dirty laundry on a podcast, just in case he listens. If you're listening, Ben, thanks, man. Like, comment, subscribe. But, yeah, he didn't want to do Batman again after his personal thing. And they were like, okay, well, you don't have to do Batman again. We're obviously going to replace you anyway, because that's Hollywood and everybody is everybody. They're actors for a reason. We might have definitive characters in our own minds, but nobody stays young forever. Nobody can play a part forever. That's just the truth of it. So we have Robert Pattinson. If you don't know Robert Pattinson, he's most famous for starring in a movie in like 2008 called Twilight. And it's really sad to say that he's most famous for a movie that came out that long ago, because he's been in some stellar movies after. The Lighthouse comes to mind. He did an amazing job in The Lighthouse. I didn't like Cosmopolis so much, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't good in it. The Lost City of Z, he was amazing in that. He's a specialty actor. He's not one of those mainstream guys who, if you're watching a movie, you'll see him in it. I feel like you gotta go and look up his movies. You gotta go and find him in a movie if you want to see him on screen. And I think that's by design. I think he just decided after the success of Twilight and the years of hate mail intertwined with fan mail and dick eatery for a fucking character he played, he just decided, look, I'm going to star in stuff that I want to star in at this point. I mean, he got the clout to do it, Again, Twilight really springboarded him to the public eye, and he smartly reversed course and sort of retreated back into his own sort of bubble, which is always the best way to be in acting. You don't always want to be in the public. You don't want all your movies to be AAA blockbusters, because then everyone's going to critique you immediately. Will Smith can't star in anything without it being compared to something he's done. And, like, it's messed up. It's messed up. You go see Will in his Aladdin. They were like, well, it wasn't really a Will Smith movie. I'm like, it's fucking Aladdin. Of course it wasn't a Will Smith movie. But he's so big that people expect everything he's in to be a Will Smith movie. Like Suicide Squad, perfect example. If you read the reviews to that movie, it's like Will Smith and Margot Robbie really shine, but the movie kind of falls flat. And it's like, they're such big personalities, and they have such presence in all the movies they're in. It's hard not to compare their previous work to the current work. And I think Robert Pattinson really did the smart thing and got out of that, took a step back after Twilight and just decided to star in indie. I'm going to do me. Same thing Ryan Reynolds does. He stars in a lot of indie movies. Like, he's not a super mainstream actor, or he wasn't. He is now, I guess, with the success of Deadpool and that whole branding. I think he sells tequila now, so I don't even think he's going to act anymore. He's making tequila money. You know, that's good money. You know, even The Rock has tequila, and he's like the biggest actor in the world. So yeah, Robert Pattinson, he did the smart thing. He got out of there and stuck to the indie route, and some big stuff here and there. Like The Lighthouse is an indie movie for sure, but it has Willem Dafoe and him just quietly going, man, it's a cosmic horror movie basically, and that's about as indie but mainstream as you can get. Willem Dafoe, Willem's the man, so you already know what it is. So the mysterious Batman movie that they announced way back when, and they had to stop production, like a lot of things had to stop production because of the COVID-19 situation outside. And he, at the DC Fandome Event, Matt Reeves he had a panel, and he talked all about the production of the movie and his inspirations, and he answered fan questions. And at the end of the panel, he graced us with the trailer for The Batman, and the trailer song is Something in the Way by Nirvana. It's a different rendition of Something in the Way. Here's something I noticed about a lot of movies. They'll take an old rock classic or new metal or whatever classic, slow it down, get the tempo nice and slow, get a cover. The thing is, they used Kurt's vocals, but they just changed the arrangement of the song. Genius move. I already love Nirvana, so the whole song to have Something in the Way playing, it's just magnifique. You know what I mean? It's great. So the trailer opens with the Gotham City PD investigating a body. A string of murders is taking place in Gotham, and each one is being left little clues and little riddles. Every fan of Batman knows where that was going. The Riddler is unleashed on Gotham in this new Batman movie. By the way, this Batman movie is year 2 Batman. It's not year 1 like Batman Begins. It's year 2. That's why his costume looks like that. The Batmobile looks like that. He's just starting. He's fresh. He hasn't learned his limits yet, or I should say, he hasn't learned to limit himself. One of the breakout moments in the trailer is where a clown-faced goon threatens him, and he gets just brutalized by Batman. No restraint was shown. After he had clearly taken him down, he continued to hammer him on the ground. And when they asked him who he was, instead of saying justice, he said he was vengeance. Now, Batman that we know and love isn't vengeance, and he argues against it. One of the best lines in Batman Mask of the Phantasm is where Andy, the girl who's the Phantasm, has cornered the Joker at his hideout, and Batman's there, and she's going to kill him. And Batman says, well, Andy, what will vengeance solve? You know, and that's a really good dive into Batman's character, or who he became through his years of being the Batman. So this is year 2 Batman. He hasn't learned those lessons yet. So he's vengeance. And as such, he's brutalizing goons, terrifying them. Andy Serkis plays Alfred. That's going to be awesome to see. Colin Farrell's the Penguin. Well, he's Cobblepot. Not the Penguin just yet, but he looks deformed because he's the fucking Penguin. The Riddler's wearing a mask and like duct tape. He's very grounded, his character. He's not like Jim Carrey's Riddler that we used to with the spandex suit and all that. That movie, I love that movie, but it was very, very cheesy. And I think it worked. I think it worked for the time it came out. And then Tommy Lee Jones is the Two-Face, cracking jokes and shit with the zebra stripe. I think that worked for that time. But ever since the Dark Knight movies, they've been portraying Batman more real and real. And I guess you can take that or leave it. I personally wish it was more fantastic, because Batman is a fantastic character. He's not a normal... he's a human man, but that's where his normality ends. You know what I mean? So, regardless, star-studded cast, trailer, Nirvana song is blaring, and the trailer walks us through the Riddler scourge on Gotham, and it looks like he's targeting people of power, people who don't keep their promises. And of course he's targeting the Batman, because the Batman is a variable in the city. He's He's still new. The police don't trust him yet. There's a scene in the trailer where I guess a cop says something slick out of his mouth to the Batman, and he goes to rush him, but Gordon has to step in and de-escalate that, because Gordon knows that Batman needs the cops on his side, and the cops need Batman. So you would hate to be that guy who they want to arrest instead of letting him do his work. There appears to be a courthouse scene where a Jeep drives in, or a stock exchange scene. I'm not sure where they are. And it blows up. There's a guy with a bomb strapped to his chest set to the Batman. Riddler's leaving Batman clues all throughout the trailer. Not to his identity, but I guess to his motive as to why he's doing it. Who knows? The trailer's really vague. But it was a well done trailer. I did see a criticism online that said it was too dark. I mean, what are they watching it on? Are you watching it on your tablet with like the brightness turned all the way down? Because if you watch it on like any quality screen, it looks fine. It looks good. It's like 4K. I mean, you can see everything. I watch it frame by frame, like I do most movie trailers. I'm a big nerd. I don't know if you've noticed from the content of my channel. I'm a pretty big nerd, and I like stuff. I don't know. I mean, what do you want? You want me to not be a weirdo? Come on, it wouldn't be entertaining. You're probably laughing at me right now. I'm kind of laughing at me right now. But so the Riddler scourge is unleashed on Gotham. Year 2 Batman is trying his best to literally pick up the pieces, the clues left behind Riddler. And all the while, Cobblepot's making a move on Gotham. One of the Falcone family is making a move on Gotham. So Batman is juggling 3 enemies in this movie. And I know. Spider-Man 3 taught us, don't ever have more than 1 or 2 bad guys. But it can be done. Venom did it successfully. The Avengers, I feel like, have 40 bad guys in all their movies. And everybody loves those movies. So I'm sick of hearing, don't do this based on old movies. When we got these new examples, like, I feel like Infinity War had all of the Black Hand or Black Guard, whatever they're called, the Thanos' group. Like, they were all villains in the movie, and everybody loves those movies. And I know I get super antagonistic when I bring up the Marvel movies. And I only get like that because those movies are Back to the Future. They're popcorn movies. And only like 2 or 3 of them have any substance. Like, only like 2 or 3 of them, like, you can watch and be like, damn, this is a film. And not just, here, everybody, look at those heroes, oh, comedy. Like, what the fuck ever. Hero stories don't need levity to make an impact. And I feel like the Marvel movies have sort of pushed us to that. And every time I watch a superhero movie, there's even a joke in it. I'm scared that one of 2 things is going to happen. It'll be, it's not as good as Marvel's jokes, or why are jokes in my hero movie, but then go and watch every Marvel movie where all of them is just a joke. So it's really, that's why I get like that whenever I mention the Marvel movies and their impact on comic book storytelling. Even on the page, I mean, they've changed comic books, which is a good and a bad thing. Like most things are good and bad things. But yeah, so the Batman, I think it looks fantastic I think it's like 30% shot. You know, they're resuming production now. I know everybody's happy to go back to work. I hope everybody stays safe and doesn't get sick and have to shut down production again. I really do hope the best for this movie because it looks really, really interesting. I mean, it's a year 2 Batman movie. That's cool. It has 3 villains, 3 noteworthy villains. Not anybody so opaque or vague out of Batman's large rogue gallery. He's fought. We're like, could you imagine if the villain was Calendar Man? You'd be like, who the hell is that? You know? So I'm excited for the Batman. Matt Reeves, the Batman. And I'm excited to see what Robert Pattinson will do. I personally know he's a good actor. So I'm not scared at all that he'll drop the ball on Batman. I think he's going to do a great job. Speaking of Batman, Ben Affleck's Batman is returning to screen, not just in the Snyder Cut, which we're going to talk about in 1 second, but also in the Flashpoint movie, which is still happening, and Ezra Miller is still the Flash, which is exciting because I think he didn't get his chance he didn't get a shot so much with Justice League, which kind of ties back into the Snyder Cut. But yeah, it's a Flashpoint movie, so you know what that means. Multiverse, it's coming. So we get Ezra Miller returns, Ben Affleck is returning as Batman, and the directors were talking about it. Like, even when we asked him, he just was like, yeah, sure, I would love to. And they even mentioned they think the reason he didn't want to do it before is because his personal life, he was going through a lot of stuff back then at the time, and he just didn't want to be bothered. And being Batman's hard. Everybody's going to critique every single thing about you, everything you do. You're Batman. You're one of the most recognizable characters ever to exist globally. So of course, that pressure of being Batman in two movies, it's hard. It's hard. That's why Christian Bale never returned after the third one. He's never coming back. Why would he? You know, the ones who can get away with it are the voice actor Batmans, like Will Arnett. He's got a cushy job from now on as the Lego Batman. He does a great job, but you know, he doesn't have to worry about. I mean, unless you know his voice, which most of us do. Most people are like, oh, that's Will Arnett. But other people are like, oh, it's Batman voice, gravelly voice, ha ha ha. You know, like. So Ben Affleck is returning to Batman, and so is Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton is returning. He will be Michael Keaton's Batman from 1990s Batman, and that's going to be interesting. I wonder what other cool like actors will make an appearance as their roles from years ago in this multiverse movie. So that's talking about the Batman. Moving on, we got the Snyder Cut. I might as well go right into it. For those who don't know, Justice League was a bad movie. It came out in 2017. And there's a very real reason why it was bad. Zack Snyder had to leave production, and not even in the middle of production, basically, in the early stages of it, for personal reasons, family reasons. So they bring in Joss Whedon to finish the movie. A lot of stuff was left on the cutting room floor. A lot of plots simply not used, and a lot of things sort of rushed to the finish line, equaling a not very good movie going experience for a lot of people. A few years after, or right after, a few months even, rumors started circulating that there was this unicorn-like Snyder Cut that the studios don't want to release because it's Zack Snyder's vision and for some reason they hate him, or whatever it may be. But there was a rumor circulating that Zack had shot a version of the Justice League which did it justice. It turns out that rumor was kind of true. There is a lot of footage left out, and I mean enough to make another movie. 4 hours worth of another movie. In fact, Zack was at the DC Fandome Event. He talked to the people who made it happen, the big fans, the super fans. Talked to just the general public, and talked about how, you know, everybody's dedication really allowed this to happen, and how he's very excited to bring us the Snyder Cut. And he says it's 4 hours long. It's going to be 4 parts, an hour each. And at some point, they're going to figure out how to distribute it as a full 4-hour thing for people like me who want to watch it all in one go. And he graced us with the trailer for the Snyder Cut. Fantastic trailer. That trailer is better than all of the Justice League movie. And I liked the Justice League movie, even though it was terrible. I don't know if I ever said this, but even when terrible quote-unquote movies get released, I'm glad that they are released because we can have discussion about them. They exist in the world now. They're for us now. And that's why I was so bummed about the Sonic movie. You know, quick tangent for those who don't know, when Sonic, the movie, was in development, they released a trailer for it and some posters that showed Sonic not quite how people would like to have seen him. And the internet came together, banded together, and got it deleted. And they redid it. And they released it with a more video game accurate depiction of Sonic. Early video game accurate depiction of Sonic. And that really, really to this day upset me. Because that version of Sonic that they got deleted was someone's whole life for however long they worked on that movie. It was someone's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they were bringing their vision of their Sonic that they got to make, that the studios okayed and said, make your movie. They're probably a fan like you and I. And their vision wasn't good enough. So, F them. F their vision that they spent all that time on. Because you want your Sonic. I cannot believe that happened to this day. I haven't even seen the Sonic movie because I don't agree with it. I don't agree with fans deciding what is and what isn't. We can have our disagreements. We can say, well, Ben Affleck's Batman killed all those guys in the bat chase scene in the BVS movie. He did. He destroyed those guys. He had a turret gun and he was driving into their Jeeps. I mean, he was killing those guys. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Those guys died. But just because that's not the Batman that we know or grew up with, oh, Batman doesn't kill this or that. I hate to do this again, but look at the Marvel movies. Those characters aren't like the characters in the comics. And again, everyone loves those movies. It's all about different iterations of a character. It's not the same. Earth 1 Superman isn't main continuity Superman. New 52 Superman isn't main continuity Superman. You know what I mean? Like the Batman who laughs, who everybody loves, isn't Batman. But these characters all get fair shakes and they all get accepted almost immediately in the realm of things. It's almost like the movie fans haven't caught on yet that every iteration of a character is going to be different. It's in the writer's hands. So to see that happen to Sonic, after we had something like Sonic Unleashed where he's a goddamn werewolf, what the hell was that? But that got to be. But the version that those animators worked on for however long they worked on it for didn't get to exist. So that really bummed me out. So when I say Justice League is a terrible movie, I don't mean it's terrible like it's terrible that it shouldn't exist. I mean, it's terrible because it was rushed to production and it was like reshoots and this and that. The CGI disaster where Superman's face, a lot of it just came together to make a not quality product. And the Snyder Cut promises to be, or at least that's the assumed promise, that it will be a quality product. I hope it will be. I'm going to watch it. And me, HBO Max, I don't even have HBO Max, but when it drops, I'll get HBO Max just to watch it. But yeah, the trailer looks amazing. The trailer looks phenomenal. Black Suit Superman, a lot more Flash, a lot more Cyborg, because Zack said he's the heart of the movie. But if you go watch the 2017 cut of that, you don't get that at all. But now, hopefully we're going to get that. We see him as his human self. We see him playing football. We see his father resurrecting him. We see a ton of stuff that just was not in that original cut. And it looks crazy exciting. So I, for one, am stoked that the Snyder Cut actually exists and we're actually going to be able to watch it in 2021. That's phenomenal. And bravos to all the people who made it happen. You guys are actual superheroes. You found out something and you didn't eat sleep until you made it happen. I couldn't imagine working so hard on something that I put no time in and made no money off of. It's not like any of the people who championed for the Snyder Cut's release for so long was earning anything off of it. They just really wanted it to be because they're such big fans of not only those heroes, but of the universe that Zack has created from Man of Steel onward, that they needed to see it done. And that's amazing. I know Zack's he's got to feel like, wow, people love what I've created. And as a creator, that's probably the best feeling you can get. So moving on, we got, what's the next thing that was a breakout announcement for me? Suicide Squad game. Now, I did an entire podcast on the Suicide Squad game and how it should have been a Superman game. So, Suicide Squad game comes out in 2022, meaning my excitement for it is sufficiently diminished because who knows what the world will look like in 2 years. So, it's hard for me to allocate excitement for that so far away. But I will say the trailer was really interesting. It showed the Suicide Squad, at least the members that we all know: Harley, Deadshot, King Shark, Captain Boomerang. And it showed off a Captain Boomerang power that I think a lot of people aren't aware of. The super speed burst. It's not actually his power, it's his son's power. And his son is a descendant of Thwayne, Ebediah. Everybody knows him as Reverse Flash. That's his son is a descendant of him. So his son can move at high speed burst. They gave that to this Hark is his name? Harkness? Whatever his name is. They gave it to him for the game purposes. And I can understand why it'd be kind of lame to be using Harley or King Shark or Deadshot even, and then just have boomerangs. It's like, well. So they gave him the super speed power, super speed burst, which is interesting. It's as I suspected when I did the podcast and I said, things are never as they seem in a Suicide Squad scenario. So I said either it's a fake Justice League or something to that effect. Turns out it's the actual Justice League, but the trailer opens with like Brainiac Mountain in the background. So one can only extrapolate that Brainiac has affected the minds of the Justice League, and the Suicide Squad are tasked with murdering them. They are not going to murder the Justice League. In fact, I feel like the Justice League will be Mr. X from Resident Evil 2. They'll probably stalk you throughout the game. There'll be mini boss fights or mini chase scenes. They cannot beat the Justice League, as I said before in the previous podcast. Hell, Will Arnett conducted an interview with the Suicide Squad after the trailer, and they talk about how, yeah, we're fucked. The Justice League. What are you talking about? You know, they said what I said. Not even on their best day could they defeat the Justice League. So, yeah, I do think that the game's main plot will be you curing the Justice League and having many skirmishes with them throughout. Because there's zero way they can beat the Justice League. It's just not possible. You know, Green Lantern, Superman, Flash, Batman, Wonder Woman. Come on. Martian Manhunter, Cyborg, you know, the Justice League. There's no way the Suicide Squad can beat them. Even in the trailer where, you know, where Superman disintegrates a helicopter pilot or jet pilot, and they're like, oh, yeah, no, that's dead. It's not possible for them. So as I said, I correctly predicted that, yeah, it's not a fake Justice League, but it's an altered, influenced Justice League. And the Suicide Squad and your objective is to beat them. 2022 is a long time away. I'm sure more gameplay will come out next year, early and mid. That's how they like to break up this information. So we'll see. One of the last things I want to talk about, Gotham Knights. Now this game is the next game by the studio that did Arkham Origins. And I liked Arkham Origins. It has Roger Craig Smith as Batman instead of Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy is reserved for the Rocksteady games. You know, Bruce, animated series Bruce, all types of animated movies Bruce. Hell, he even played a live action Bruce in the Crisis event for the Flash series and the Batwoman series and all those DC series. He played evil Bruce, which is awesome because Kevin Conroy is Batman to me. So Roger Craig Smith, I feel like returns as Batman in this. It sounds kind of like the Batman from Origins. And the trailer opens with Batman saying, "Hey, if you're watching this video, I'm dead." He doesn't say how he died. He says he blew up the cave. Now, I know people are going to say, well, he dies in Arkham Knight, so this is a continuation of that. Rocksteady has said that the Suicide Squad is a continuation of the Arkham universe. And this game is not. Which is weird because Arkham Origins, I felt like, was a prequel to Arkham Asylum. So it would only make sense that this game is a sequel to Arkham Knight. I don't know. More information will come out soon. But in Arkham Knight, you play as Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, and Red Hood. And it's a multiplayer game with drop in, drop out, and it's not metered to each other. So you can both play Red Hood and play the whole game as 2 Red Hoods or 3 or 4 because it's a multiplayer game. And it looks really exciting. I have noticed that a lot of the comments around it and the extended gameplay trailer are, why are there damage numbers? And what's up with games being RPGs? And people saying, no, this isn't for me because it's not like the other Arkham games. I have a question for those people. Why do you want to play the same game for like 10 years straight? Why exactly is it a problem for them to innovate or change something? Just because you see damage numbers doesn't necessarily mean there will be like content gating. Like, well, this part of Gotham is for level 35, whereas in the other Arkham games, of course, you can go to any part of the city you want because all the enemies are your level and everyone's defeatable at any time. Just because their damage numbers doesn't mean that there will be content gating. While it does come with that territory, we got to see more of the game first. They have said that there are difficulty options for the base game. There'll be normal, hard, whatever's after, true, Dark Knight, whatever, and that decides the difficulty. Not so much, I think, the damage numbers. I think the damage numbers are just to show how much you're dealing. It's a damage number. Will the game have RPG elements? I'd welcome that. I'd welcome a level up system in my Batman games. The other ones had it. It just wasn't displayed with numbers. So it's just weird to see so many comments saying, I don't like this, and why do so many games keep doing this? And I'm like, you don't like something not what you've played for the past 8 years? We've played the same Arkham game since Asylum. You don't want something else? No? Wow. Kind of blows my mind, really. When I talk about the Avengers, I'll touch more on, like, I feel like people just don't want to be superheroes anymore. You don't want to be The goddamn Gotham Knights. You don't want to be Red Hood with your guns and shooting goons out. No, like, oh, maybe the Batmobile shocked them and incapacitated them. You're shooting them. None of that. You don't want to do any of that. Just because some damage numbers and possibly content gating, which I'm going to be honest, I don't think there'll be any content gating. I think that they will say enemies in this area are higher level, then you use caution. That's what I think is going to happen. I think Gotham is available to you regardless of your level. But I don't know. It's weird. I've been seeing a lot of the same comments about the Avengers game about, like, people just bashing it. And I'm like, what's to bash? It's a third-person action adventure game where you're the goddamn Avengers. I'll talk about that in the next podcast, but yeah, I mean, I can't believe it. Some honorable mentions before I end the episode. Suicide Squad 2, not 2, sorry. Suicide Squad, I think it's just called that. I don't think it's called 2. They did a character introduction trailer. Tons of new characters. Tons of comic accurate characters. James Gunn knows what's up. I suspect most of them will die very quickly in the movie. So that's an honorable mention. Another one out of DC Fandome. Static Shock is coming back. The Static Shock line coming back. We can get some new comics. Very exciting. A couple of other honorables that I keep trying to think of off the top of my head. Black Adam. The Rock has been trying to get this project off the ground for quite some time. Unfortunately, the state of the world has further delayed it, but I do believe filming and production will actually start next year. The Black Adam movie is going to be really interesting, not only because The Rock is playing Black Adam, which is awesome, but it has the Justice Society of America in it, and I don't think they've been in a physical movie yet. They've been in tons of the animated ones, but a physical movie, nah. So that's crazy exciting to see Hawkman and all the people from the JSA on the screen. That's going to be really interesting. And I truly hope that Black Adam gets to face off against Henry Cavill Superman at some point. I would love to see that. I would love to see a Black Adam, The Rock versus Henry Cavill Superman. And I think The Rock would love that as well. He's been trying to get that to happen forever. And I think he got enough pull in the industry to make it happen, if I'm being completely honest. So that's it for the DC Fandome event. There's a whole bunch I left out. Go watch the event. I think they have it on their website. You can watch it repeatedly. Because they've streamed it twice. Like, they double streamed. Like, when the stream ended, they just started it over from the beginning. It was a whole bunch I didn't cover. The Titans show, the next season. Harley Quinn's DC animated series, possible next season. I mean, there's a whole bunch I missed, but those are the ones that stood out to me that I wanted to discuss. Yeah, go watch it. If it's still available, or if somebody like saved it and posted it somewhere, just watch it. It was great. It was a great event. And we got more events to talk about soon. We got to do Gamescom. We got to do the Avengers, which launches next week. So that's going to be soon. All right, well, thanks for your time this week, guys. Like, comment, all that stuff. I don't care. Do whatever. Hope you enjoyed the video. See ya.